Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. In this video I'm going to show you the boot up of two HaasCNC machines and one Fadal. How I got this is I'm taking a machinist course, and obviously the CNC stands for Computer Numeric Control. So I was able, since I got to class early, I was able to show the video of the machines booting up. So without further ado, let's get started. Alright, so I am turning on what is the Haas Mail. And as you can see, it's booting into an operating system. This is a CNC machine. It stands for Computer Numeric Control. So in this case, when you boot up the mill, if you're on tool 10, it's going to go default back to tool 1. So it's already booted, but you have to do certain startup procedures. It's not like a regular desktop computer. So it makes you test everything before you start using the machine. Unlike a regular desktop machine that it pass post and you go. So as you can see here, it is moving to T1, and it's homing out first because you have to home it out before you turn it off. If not, you have to do it when you turn it on. So that is what I'm doing there. And you warm it up. I'm running it at 100 RPM just to warm it up. And now I am walking to the Haas lathe. This runs the same OS. They call them ISP. Now you have to remember, this particular software is extremely locked out because it's at a school. So it's not the newest software, but it does work. And as you can see again, it is booting into the ISP, or the Linux. It's Linux, but they call it an ISP. That is their term for it. And you have to do the warm-up procedure here. Now, as you on the lathe, you have it's forwards and backwards. On the mill, it's clockwise and counterclockwise. What I do on both is I spin them both forwards, clockwise, and then backwards, counterclockwise. That is to warm up the bearings. You don't have to spin it backwards, but I do it just in case someone would accidentally do it. So what you're seeing here, that is a turret that holds all the tools. So when the lathe boots up, if you're on T10, which stands for tool as I said, it's going to go to T1. And there's startup procedures you have to follow. And this is a computer doing that. That's your code right there on the white. You can always edit it. Now it does take a little bit to go do what it needs to do. It's finding T1. And when you spin it, you have to have the chuck in there clamped, otherwise it won't spin. Even if you have nothing in there, because the machine doesn't know if anything's in there. That's the way it's programmed. And I have a picture of inside the Haas mill of the computer itself, which is the same for in the lathe as well. It's the same hardware, just programmed differently. Just different. The ISP is modified a little bit. So now I'm walking over to the Fadal mill. This is a really old machine. It's 20 years old. In hardware terms, this machine is ancient. It has a monochrome monitor that looks like something from Fallout. As you can see, there is monochrome, which means one color. So it's asking me to push start. What is that? There's something called cold start that you have to do with this. And what it does is it moves a little bit just to kind of shake off. You know how you kind of stretch when you wake up? Sort of like that. Now the thing is if you move it before you push cold start, that becomes the default. So anyway, the keyboard on here, I'm typing MO3. And I did the speed, and I push enter, and then it'll ask you to push start. That keyboard is the same keyboard that's hooked up to the same type of keyboard, I should say. It's called a keyboard. It's the same keyboard you use on your desktop and on your laptop. That's more of a laptop style keyboard because it's all integrated in there. So I'm spinning that at 100. And this is DOS, so I let that run. I go back to the mill. You push restart to get the screen up. I'm going to run it counterclockwise now. Actually, I'm changing the tool. Actually, I stopped it. I thought I was changing the tool. So now it is stopped. So now I go to the lathe and I delete that. And then there's a command called alter. So I would type it, and then I push alter, and it alters the command. And then I push cycle start, and then it'll stop the machine. So I stop that machine. And now I stop that. So anyway, here's the picture that I promised you for the hospital mill. And that is it for this video. Please comment, like, and subscribe.